BS your way to life.
Today's podcast, let's dive right in. I've been wanting to do this for a while. I actually started to do this one, but it was cringe when I re-listened to it. So I was like, I'm redoing it. It was a mess. It was on the spot. It was whatever. So I've had a little more time to think about this. So hopefully this is a little less cringe. But topic is really important. And I think that we really need this. So title of this is Don't Buy Into the Drama. Okay. All right. So I'm going to reiterate with a little bit of a story. So I have a friend who and was doing some things for the first time in their life, was venturing out, like all this stuff. Anyway, and they were learning, they're just learning how to be adulting, how to adult and whatever. And this particular person has always had everything done for them. And so this is like the first time that they realized that everything relied on them, and they were having a really tough go of it. And, but I'm just like, I'm here for you the whole way. I'll talk you through it. And they just like, can you just do this for me? I'm like, no, 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 no. This is something in order for you to be able you know, to be able to be an adult and be self-reliant, you have to do these things for yourself. You have to learn. The only way to learn is if you do them. So I would teach this friend how to do it. I coached the whole way and says, I'm here holding your hand, but you got to do the steps, right? And it came to a point where the person became overwhelmed with all of this and was upset because wasn't getting, you know, the help that they wanted, not the help they needed, but the help they wanted. So they decided to kind of throw a little bit of a tantrum, and they made a very life threatening, very, very stupid choice. But it was something that I expected to happen. I knew it was going to happen. I wasn't expecting the way that it was going to happen, but I was not surprised. So when it happened, the person's fine and everything worked out, all is well. But in that moment, even though it was a severe thing that had happened, in that moment, there was an opportunity to like freak out, have all this guilt come on me, be like, oh, maybe I um, you know, should have done the thing anyway and just, whatever, because, this person needs maybe more help than I'm giving them credit for, whatever, you know what I mean? And like when I first got the information, and the friend that's also helping me with this friend comes, you know, over to my house, and they're just freaking out, and they're just like they're just falling apart, and just like, I should cancel my day. I'm going to cancel my day. And mind you, this person whom we're dealing with currently lives in another state, so we live thousands of miles away, so there's literally nothing we can do about it other than calling, you know medical or family or friends that are close by to do something about it or whatever, right? Which all that was taken care of. But you know, but when I got the information, I didn't feel any guilt. I didn't feel anything at all, because this was this person's life and responsibility. It was not mine. I did not have to take that upon myself. I did not have to feel guilty. I was doing what was best for them. They didn't like it. They wanted me to do it for them, but I can't do that. So I did what was right, what I knew was right. And then they are allowed to choose what they do, how they react, whatever. That is on them. It is not on me. I did not tell them to do that, right? So anyway, but the other mutual friend was just like, freaking out, and just, tears and feeling a little bit of guilt and everything, and all I felt was anger and irritation. And I'm like, okay, uh, hold on. I had to turn on some car lights because it got too dark. So here we go. So yeah, she's, freaking out, and I'm just angry because I know that this is just a tantrum that they're throwing, and that they're hoping that I will, that maybe I feel guilty, or that I would do more for them. They're hoping, because of this tantrum that they're throwing, that it would cause me to do the thing that they want me to do to make life easier for them. But I'm not going to do that because I'm not buying into this drama. Okay. I didn't create this drama. I'm not buying into it. And, the other friend, the other mutual friend who's, been involved in this thing and is, crying or whatever, it's like, I'm going to cancel my day. I'm not going to, I should just cancel my day. I should, not do whatever and just, but then to do what? Because literally they're in another state. There's nothing you can do. There's not much you can say or call or do. And none of it really is your responsibility. Anyway, there's no need. I said, no, no, no. You continue on with your life. This is them throwing a tantrum. This is them making their choices to which whatever happens, whatever the outcome is, it is not on us. It is 100% on them, and they've made their bed and they now need to sleep in it. So I was very pleased that my friend was like, okay, and totally calmed down and continued their day. And they were so glad that they did. They didn't cancel their day. They went, they had plans. They, made sure that the plans stayed in place and went to them. And they had a great day because they didn't, fully buy into the drama. First, we might buy into the drama, or we might be more like me, where I'm like, nah, I'm just this is upsetting. So I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna play my whole day with this. I'll, whatever necessary phone calls that I need to make, I'll make. But then it's not gonna be the focus of my day. They've made their choice. They're fine. They're safe now. They're in good hands. I don't have to worry about it. So I didn't. So my light doesn't like to stay on. It goes off. Anyway, so everything worked out. All went on. They do not. In the past me, okay, me who didn't have such a backbone and didn't have as much wisdom as I have now, would have done the absolute opposite. I would have been the one like crying, having some guilt. I would have been the one like, I should cancel my day, and would cancel my day, have the whole thing consume my mind the entire day, get nothing done, accomplish nothing. Just everything would just go, fall off a cliff because this is now the only thing is consuming my mind, right? And if you resonate with this because you do this, well, this is for you then. This podcast is for you, okay? And I remember the days, and I thought back, the days that I used to do that, where like things like this, or even when like somebody had a meltdown, and it would just consume the rest of my day, maybe even a couple of days. And I just, it was all that consumed my mind. I couldn't get anything done. You kind of feel frozen. And it's awful because your life is literally ticking away because you've bought into this drama, right? And we don't need to do that, because here's the thing. When you decide to buy into the drama and you let it freeze your life, even if it is a big deal and dramatic. Yes, the thing that happened with my friend was literally life threatening. And yet I knew that they had made that choice on their own. It wasn't like they were attacked, mobbed, or anything like that. No, they did this to themselves on purpose. They chose to do this. And it was like, okay, you chose this. And I know you're going to be okay because, immediately medical got there, and, he was in the hospital. He was totally fine. He was in good hands. Nothing more I could do at that point. So I let all that go, right? So when it comes to relationships, healthy relationships with one another, especially in marriages, sometimes our spouses might make a choice that rocks our world a little bit. Or maybe they had a meltdown, with my episode with marriages and meltdowns, right? Something might like that might happen, and you might feel frozen and you don't know how to move on. Well, here's the thing. With anything in your life, you don't have to buy into that drama. The more you remain calm and positive, you actually overcome everything faster and things work out better. I know I have actually experienced this myself. There was a situation that was, you know, that could have turned into a very negative situation, a very, one of those situations where it just makes your stomach sick because you're worried about how it might turn out that way or whatever, because you can't control other people and they're going to make a decision, and you can't control what they say, how they think, but you wish you could. But you know that they might say something or do something that might ruin relationships or might whatever it is, right? And you worry and worry and worry about it. It's unnecessary. Absolutely not unnecessary. If you, like I said, remain calm and positive, it actually, so in this particular situation, I literally let it go, because in the past, I used to worry about it, think about, okay, how can I turn this situation around? How can I take this situation and turn it the other way? So I would start trying to, like like playing chess. If you ever played chess, making these moves that hopefully that it would stimulate this move to happen and that move to happen. But instead, I ended up pushing the situation into the thing I was afraid of. Like in the movie Kung Fu Panda, one often finds their destiny in the path they choose to avoid it, right? This was me. And this is something I'm sure God was trying to teach me. It's just like, you just have to let go, Buffy. You can't live your life trying to control everything. It's not going to work. You can't. So in this particular situation that I was so worried about, I let it all go. I just like, okay, I literally gave it to God. There was a song that came on, Gethsemane, Jesus Loves Me, and I just cried. I was just like, that's right. Jesus already took care of everything. He overcame everything. I don't need to overcome this. I just need to give it to him and then move on, and he'll guide me as the time comes. And guess what? The situation completely worked itself out. Nothing dramatic ever happened. I worried for nothing. And how many times do we worry for nothing? And how many times do we think, well, if I don't worry, then something will happen and then I would have. And then, it's just like, it's almost like we're trying to jinx karma or something. I don't know. We're trying to jinx something. It's just like, but I have to worry because that makes it so nothing does happen. I don't know. If any, then maybe some of you are thinking, that's weird. Why would you think that way? Well, okay, some people do. Okay. And I'm one of them, but I am finally learning to not think that way. I'm able to let go. Like when you say something, just like, oh, wow, today's a great day for surfing or whatever. And then it rains, and then, and then you're like, oh, I shouldn't have said it, but now instead I just yell it louder. It's a great day because I'm not afraid to say it because it can be, right? Speaking the great day. Yeah, anyway, don't let the rain, you don't have to worry about the rain coming. It's going to come if it wants to come, right? It has nothing. Yeah. So, okay. So in our relationships, there's a lot of opportunities to buy into drama. Like maybe your spouse comes home and tells about a road rage situation. You're like, oh my, okay. Okay, that's a little dramatic. And you're worried about, oh dear, maybe how they handled it, whatever. But you don't have to buy into the drama. You can listen to the story. Maybe you can laugh at ridiculous things, or you can be like, oh, that's so sad. But it doesn't have to consume your soul and consume your mind. You're like, okay, that's what happened to them, and feel bad for them or whatever. But you don't have to buy into that drama. And and whenever somebody else, a family member or somebody is freaking out over something, you don't need to buy into it. You can be an anchor, a compassionate person, a supportive person without letting this consume your soul. So with the situation that I spoke of earlier with my friend who made the life-threatening decision, I didn't let it consume my soul. I was able to, and this is something we all need to learn to do, able to separate their decisions from our emotional responsibility or our responsibility, right? Or whatever. So I can't tell you how many I used to watch. My husband and we watched the whole, I think all of it, at least most of it, of the Arrow series on Netflix. If you haven't watched it, almost every single episode, Arrow, Green Arrow, it drove me nuts. He's always just like, so somebody would get murdered by some random person, and all of a sudden the Arrow's like, oh, it's all my fault. And then, or anything that ever happened, all of a sudden it was, a friend would be like, it's not your fault. I know you're blaming yourself. It's just like, This had nothing to do with you. What yourself? It makes no sense. So that is what I'm talking about. It's just like you had nothing. I had nothing to do with his decision, his life-threatening decision. Nothing to do with it. Absolutely nothing. So I didn't have to take responsibility for his decisions. I did my part. And I have no guilt or shame in what I did because the what his responsibility was his responsibility, right? I was doing what I felt was my responsibility. Maybe I was going a little above and beyond, or maybe I was doing just the right things, but I was doing the things that I felt like was just what they needed. So when we choose to separate, you know, like it's okay, obviously, feeling sad or upset or letting emotions come in and helping us feel. It's like the, mutual friend feeling sad and worry. Totally, totally. We are allowed to do that. I'm glad she was able to get that emotion out, but she didn't let it stop her day. She didn't let it, consume her entire day. She was able to move on with her day. She was able to, you know, to still move on and live because other people's decisions you have no control of anyway. So there's no reason to put your life on hold. And of course, whenever I did talk to this friend, I was very compassionate, and very understanding and let him know, yeah, yeah, I get it and whatever. But I didn't change my ground in which I stood on. No, you still have to do these things, and and things frankly got a little bit better for that person because they learned a valuable lesson. They realized, okay, I can't hand over my responsibilities to somebody else. I have to take care of them. Otherwise, I'm not going to survive. So, whenever you have a situation in your life, especially within your marriages and relationships, to which someone's being dramatic, you imagine yourself being a yellow balloon, turning into a yellow balloon and floating above all the drama. You can literally float above the drama. It doesn't mean that you are ignoring it. It doesn't mean that you are, um, not being compassionate or empathetic or anything, but you are literally a positive influence floating above the drama, just being like, hey, I see all you blue balloons down there, but it's okay. You can, be an example of like, you can come up here when you're ready, type of thing. And I'm here for you, right? You can float above the drama. You don't need to be down in the depths of the drama and have it consume you in your day. Let your life be richer. And in order for your life to be richer, you need to have less drama in it or buy into less drama. So the less drama you're buying into, the less fights you're picking, the less that you um get upset over things, the more fulfilling life that you have and the more good things that you'll have and will come to you. And gratitude is a huge key that play role. Gratitude has a huge role in helping with all that. So being grateful for everything you have, being grateful for the person, and for what they do, despite even maybe they might be having, a meltdown or whatever, or a dramatic situation. And, along with also political stuff, there's a lot of political drama, but you don't have to buy into that either. We can be loving and kind no matter who or what, voting status as a way of, a good example. It's just like we can just be kind humans and be a positive influence to those around us. There are a lot of people out there that tend to attract drama. And we need to unlearn that. We need to like try to look for more positive, think more positive, and surround ourselves with more positive and help others do the same thing. Anyway, I hope you all have a good evening. Hope you glean from any of this and have a good night. Rock on.